Hi, if you or your children are suffering because of your relationship with your ex-partner, because it's stressed or strained, or maybe they're just not a nice person, this show is for you. Welcome to the High Conflict Co-Parenting Podcast with Brook Olson and Charlie Jewett. Enjoy another episode now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the High Conflict Co-Parenting Podcast with Charlie Jewett and Brook Olson. Now Brook, today we're doing episode 56. What they do means nothing. What you do means everything. So dive in here and tell us what we're going to talk about today.
So everything that we're looking at in this process has to do with perception, how we're seen, and also coming into, again, the conversation about what we have control over. So what we do means everything. So the focus is on us. The focus is on our process. What they do means nothing. If we're pointing at them, we're not solving problems. So we want to get out of the process of getting caught up in all the harm that they create. And back to the conversation about transference that we've talked about before, how the reality is often created out of our own transference. So if what they do is what becomes the focus, the energy stays there and the pattern just gets recreated. And that's what I want to talk about today.
And not just in court, but in our own minds and our own conversations with friends and all that, right?
Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And, you know, it's back to that little phrase that my yoga teacher used to use: how you do anything is how you do everything.
Interesting. All right, let's jump in.
So I just want to really come into focus here for a moment with the conversation. And again, that focus is where we're putting our attention, where we can influence change. And that is how we approach the strategies of our relationships. That's how we approach the strategies in dealing with the courts and our attorneys and the judges. We can't influence change in the cycle by being other-focused.
Okay.
And by other-focused, I mean on anything or anybody else. Our focus is us.
Right.
And by pointing toward what they're doing brings the focus back to us. So when we're pointing at somebody, when we're saying they're the problem, they're the problem, they're the problem, people start looking at where the noise is coming from. And the noise is coming from us. So when our focus is on what we're doing, what we can change, what we can fix, what we can solve, people start seeing us as problem solvers, not problem creators.
Okay. Got it.
And what we do becomes what they see. I ran across this little quote last week, and I want to just share it with everybody. And the quote goes like this: I find it extremely liberating to see that I was the cause of all of my problems. With this realization, I have also learned that I am my own solution. This is the great big gift of personal accountability. When we stop blaming external forces and own up to our responsibility, we become the ultimate creators of our destiny.
Well, there is something empowering to owning it, right? Because, like, what if it's not you? What hope do you have?
None.
Right?
None. You know, we have to be the problem solvers. The courts don't solve the problems. We've talked about this many, many times, Charlie. You know, our attorneys aren't the problem solvers. They often get us deeper in because they forget something, they don't do something. They are preoccupied. They are undergunned, under-equipped, under-educated in these areas. And the places where I've seen people really succeed from the depths of some of the most egregious situations that you could find with alienation and whatnot are where the people themselves, the clients themselves, have jumped up and learned everything that they could learn and picked a team to help them through that and became the problem solvers. They were doing the conducting of the orchestra of their own making.
Yeah.
And we, again, when we're creating that group of people, we have to be very careful because, again, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of groups that are in the blame game.
Yeah.
And, they're pointing at other as being the problem and also creating an illusion that the people that are in these situations aren't responsible for being in these situations. We're all responsible for getting into it, and we're all responsible for making our way out of it.
Got it. So there are places you can go pay an entire group, or they may look like they help with this type of thing, but it's really just a big, giant professional turning and looking at the other side and blaming, right?
Right. There can be, there are groups out there for both men and women that point at other as being the problem and creating that collusive environment where they are joining with the people in their victim stances and going, oh, yeah, and this is what you're in. And they're not creating solutions. They're creating, again, that collusion of group that everybody is making noise about, that they're angry about what happened, and they're not making solutions to find the way out of it.
And I could see that feeling good temporarily to have a support group or a bunch of other people saying, yeah, they are a booger, but that's not going to solve the problem, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, when we get into, what the courts are doing, they perceive what they perceive is what they use to judge a situation. And when they perceive you as mixing it up, as not the solution, they look at you to being the problem.
Yeah.
And the perception of the situation is created by your actions. What are you doing? We keep coming back to what's happening to the kids and how the other person is doing damage. And I was talking to a client last week that got caught up in this perception of having a set of problems that were ancient problems that everybody was focusing on, and getting caught up in that focus rather than in what's in the moment, what is here that is real, that is not that. And creating that perception of something being different, unspinning it, if you would.
Yeah. We get to act however we want to, and even if we acted in ways in the past that have been useful to the other side, we can create new data. We can have new behavior, and the courts are going to see the most recent stuff, right?
Well, if we can stop the spin, and the spin room, if you would, that these attorneys get into is this place of creating the chaos of, well, what about this, and false equivalencies, and you did this then, and you've not done anything to change. And it's our job to change that perception, to put the focus on what we are doing and not deflecting the attention onto what the other person is doing.
Okay. And where's the starting point, or how do you suggest people do that?
Well, not getting lost in this idea of what is said that is drawn on, that may be true in the short term, but is not, but this is not the short-term process. So the focus of the spin is a short-term spin. It's like, this is all that they've got to draw on. And this is a long-term process.
Yeah.
So there's places here that we have to agree that we got sucked into, that we did something wrong, or we made the perception of we did something wrong.
Right?
And then to start to undo that perception by doing things differently, by showing up differently, by having different terms of conversations, by taking classes that educate us in parenting, in relationship, in communication. So this long-term process is I am taking action to change what you see me as.
Yeah.
And not making that a statement, but making that a presentation.
Right. I mean, the courts, it's a little bit like a resume. You could be incredible at your job and no one will ever know that without a good resume, right? The courts have to kind of go by classes you're in and certificates and what professionals say. They can't just know that you're a good person, right?
Right. Right. They have to have some information.
Right.
And they need current information. If they don't have current information, all they've got to draw on is past, right?
Yeah. And it probably doesn't hurt that much if you have made mistakes to sort of admit them. Be like, yeah, Your Honor, I think I was kind of a booger, but look what I'm doing now because I wanted to change it too.
Right. Right. And what I'm doing now and what I continue to do and what I've done.
Yeah.
And back to that conversation of resume, this is an important piece to keep drawing on.
Yeah, gotcha.
What the actions are, again, is where the long-term information is drawn.
Yeah.
So we're modeling.
Yep.
We're modeling. And we're modeling for the courts. We're modeling for our community. And most of all, we're modeling for our children. This process that we're in the middle of comes back to what our children see. We're their first best teachers, and they recreate the patterns that we model, good or bad. So when we're in the middle of this fight, if we're modeling problem solving, if we're modeling boundaries, if we're modeling the things that our children are going to need in this arena, because we know that this is going to follow them because it's in our field, then they have the tools by which to move differently as well. They know how to set boundaries. They know how to do things that create solutions rather than problems.
That's so weird. It sounds so obvious, but it's like, oh yeah, we're also parenting through this. Right?
Right.
It could be very distracting, this whole like court thing and the fight and what do I get into and what do I not get into and how do I focus on what Brook and Charlie are teaching and did I do it right? Did I not do it right? Oh, I messed it up. How do I feel about that? Right?
Right.
And meanwhile, we're parents going through something with the kids there, learning how to be grown-ups or watching us and seeing how do we handle it, right?
Right, right. And I think if we broke this down into just total basics, we are either parenting in this situation or we're putting our children in the middle of the situation and having them be a part of the cycle of conflict that they did not buy into.
Right. Yeah.
There's one or the other. We're doing one or the other.
Right.
And if we're parenting, these outcomes have their own way of finding the organic solution. They're always organic solutions, and they result from a combination of effort and patience.
Yeah.
We make the effort, and then we watch it unfold. We don't force it. The forcing current that we bring into this stuff is what creates so many of our problems. We're trying to get out in front of something that isn't ready to be got out in front of. All of the information isn't here yet.
Yeah.
And in order for the organic, the deep organic solution to unfold means that we have to be patient.
That sounds like the hard part to me.
Well, yeah. Right? Damn it, can't they just see it? Why can't they see it? They've got to see it. I'm going to make them see it. And then we create a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. I mean, my first business I ever owned was a health club. And there's things that just take time. You know what I mean? You can't work out 24 hours a day for 3 weeks and get necessarily the same results as you could working out consistently for 6 months, 3 days a week or whatever. There's just things that take time to develop. And I remember somebody saying how close you can be and yet so far off. Like you have 7 numbers of a phone number and 6 of them are right and 1 of them is off, or all 7 numbers are right, but you do them in the wrong order, right? You're so close. Time is a part of this. Time's a part of that combination that unlocks the future. I mean, by definition, it is the future, right? Time. You can't rush it. I mean, you've been watching me go through, a couple different horrendous things that take time, right? One sort of surprise financial, one a very, very long divorce battle with a lot of uncomfortable things, right? And what is there to do? While you were talking, I was thinking about the expression, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Like, what is there to do? I mean, here's the new stuff that's in my life because of you. Expressions like, it's only sensation, or disengage, that whole process we talked about last week, the 3-step process. All I really had in the previous to knowing you was frustration and things aren't the way I want, not wanting to wait for time, the impatience, right? And blame. Like, what is there until blame is kind of like gravity. If you don't fight it, like if you're climbing a tree, you're fighting gravity the whole time. If you just lean back and let go, you're going to fall down, right? Unless you're fighting for it, it feels like blame is the gravity where human beings would gravitate towards, especially in a difficult situation like this with someone sort of attacking you and a lot to lose.
Well, I've watched you recently with some of the stuff that you're going through. And there's been effort. Without effort, nothing happens. So we have to have effort. We have to do something at some point to move to the next place. But that effort is such that we're not attached to the outcome of it. We make the effort and then we watch it unfold. We have patience. And that's the component of chop wood, carry water. I'm just here. I'm just doing. I'm engaged in life where I can engage. And where I can't engage, I wait. Right?
Right.
I get in the boat and I watch the scenery as I float down the river.
Right. Yep. We talked about that.
I don't have a paddle. I don't have an engine. This river's going to take me where it's going to take me. And some days I have to just hang on and some days I just float. Right.
I think I've heard the name of that river. It ends in crick. Or creek. No paddle. I mean, here's the interesting thing is we all know this example. If there's a car on your kid as a mom or a dad, you've heard of people that have superhuman strength. They go somehow rescue them or whatever.
Right.
It is. You could look at that and go, I don't know if my effort's going to make a difference. That's too big. But you could also say, I know without any effort, they're just going to die. Like, I can't possibly, is it going to work? I know it's not going to work if I don't try, right? We're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
So, I've had things recently financially, the listeners don't know, but I had this crazy surprise and some issues in my business on the team. And it just created this 3 or 4 months of drought financially. And I've had times where I woke up and I looked at it, I'm like, it is not possible. It is just absolutely not possible to earn the money that quickly. My business is a little bit like farming. It'd be like, okay, you need crops next week. Go grow corn real quick, right? I can plant it, you know what I mean? I can plant it, water it, and sing songs to it, but I can't make it happen faster than it does. It just has a time built into it on purpose, right? And what am I seeing? I'm alive, right? I'm alive. My kids are alive. We have a great future and heading in the right direction. And yes, it looked impossible, but the key was without any effort, I knew it. Nothing good could happen. It's like, we'll just move it. What did you say? Picking up wood, and you just said some expression that was interesting.
Chop wood, carry water.
Chop wood, carry water. Seriously, we need a line of shirts on the website of like, nothing works. Chop wood, carry water.
Yeah.
Blame me.
Blame me. It's all my fault.
Oh man.
It seems so ridiculously simple, and yet it is so hard to stay in it. We have these moments of hitting freeze. I can't do anything. And sometimes doing nothing is the exact right thing. I just have to sit here. I have to wait for the energy. I have to wait for the next wave. I have to wait until I unfreeze before I can move. And then we make the effort, and then we have to sit back and be patient and see what happens again. And, the places where we take these classes, where we set the resume, where we're way out in front and we're just waiting for the next wave to rise so we can use that energy to paddle in and serve. And, again, where we push on stuff that isn't ready to move, we get resistance or we get pushback. And where we relax, where we can stop and just kind of relax into what happens next is always revealed.
Yeah. There's definitely an element, as you mature, there's definitely an element of not trying to control things as much, like decide how it should be and then make it that way. And then as you're talking about pushing, I remember an expression from leadership training, you can't push a rope.
Right.
Just go in a healthy, positive direction, peaceful direction. I mean, what's so funny is like, this sounds too simple, but you can only do what you can. So go do what you can. Like, it's not possible.
Right.
That the requirement for everyone to be okay is that you do something that's not possible for humans to do. That's silly, right? So like, why be stressed out about that? We just don't see the solution yet because it's not time. Just do what there is to do today. Take the next steps. I mean, if you're marching across the country and there's a cliff in front of you, then today's the day to rock climb, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's on the other side of the cliff. I just know that that's what's there right now. And some people, if you actually watch rock climbers, hang off the side of the cliff and sleep in some weird hammock and sleeping bag, and you might have a weird night. You know what I mean? It just, without getting over that, there is no next. And that's not the rest of your life. See, that's the important thing for me, because I feel like I'm rock climbing and like everything is hard and dangerous, right? But it can't be like that forever. You know what I mean? There's some sort of a grassy plain on the top of this thing, or some sort of a downhill,
It's super simple to say, I can't do that, or this is in my way, or there's no way that I can get there. That's lazy. Yeah. And to grab a hold of what can I do? What is the piece here? And sometimes the piece when our kids aren't around, if we've been in an alienation situation, is to go kayak. I can take care of myself. I can do something here while I'm waiting for the next piece to happen. And I don't have to stay focused on that. Or I can go take a class, or I can join a group that what my experience does might have some value for somebody else. I can be involved in a parenting class. I can be involved in something that is bringing value not just to me, but to my community. And that brings solution. And it shows a different focus. It shows that this isn't, I'm just sitting here waiting for you to see me as something that you don't see me as. I'm creating that imagery for you. And that isn't about me. And, we've got somebody screaming at us that, this is an abusive, narcissistic person, and I'm out in the community and I'm helping people and I'm taking care of myself and I'm doing what I can for my children. It creates a different look. So, again, back to the beginning, what they do means nothing. And
Right.
what you do means absolutely everything. And we can kind of wrap that up.
Nice. That's awesome. And one of the things we want to do from the podcast is encourage people, not false encouragement, but show them how to go down a much more peaceful, successful path in this, right? By relaxing and letting go and letting it happen, right?
Right. And
part of that is focus on yourself.
Yeah. And the people that are involved in this podcast, myself, you, Tony, Eric, the people that come in here are all in the process of doing the things that are making the changes. We're all involved in our own way in our personal journeys and in our journey to help others.
Right. Yes. Yeah, we're definitely not standing from the outside going, if you're one of those people that have had problems, thank God it's not me. Here's what you might want to think of, right? We're kind of we're like, so at times laying on our back with scars, bleeding, going, here's a thought, right? Look up at the sky. Like, this hurts, but I see a beautiful bird and there's a cloud and it looks like a dinosaur. You know what I mean? Like, just, that's just the way life is. I mean, we're just trying not to fight the way life is and float down that river as we've talked about. And it's the most frustrating thing anybody could probably ever do is blame someone else and make them the problem and try to change someone else as your solution.
Right.
And you're saying you look like a big whiny baby in court anyway, and you look like whatever they're saying about you because you don't look healthy.
Change the image.
Awesome. So paint a new picture, right?
Get your easel and your paints out and give them something else to look at.
Awesome. Very cool, Brooke. We can wrap it up there. Do you think?
Everybody, have a great week. We'll be back to you shortly and with our next podcast. I'm glad everybody's listening. Come find us. Bye now.
Bye now.
Brooke, people don't have to wait until Friday mornings to get more content. If this is something that's helpful for them, right? This isn't the first time you've broadcast anything or recorded anything or put anything out there in the world. What are the other ways people can get the help more aggressively or speed up their recovery process? What materials are available for people right now?
Well, I've written a book called The Black Hole of High Conflict, and it's available on Amazon and Kindle.
Great.
And everything that we're talking about is really compressed and put into there. So this is a really good starter place to get in and get your mind working and to see what these concepts are about and how to start to apply them. The other place that I think that is valuable is to go to our website and look at some of the blog articles that I've written. Those are available there as well. They go into some of these other arenas, and that's at www.highconflict.net. So the book, the website are also really good places to get the material. And also we have classes. We have high conflict diversion program classes that you can get into and get some one-on-one help with this as well.
And you know me, I'm aggressive. Whatever I want to become good at or learn, I find someone who's good at it and pay them and hire them and shorten my learning curve. What if somebody just wants your help? Somebody says, Brooke has this information. He's good at something I'm not good at yet, and I want to work with him. Do you have any type of coaching or consultations or anything like that?
Absolutely. I do one-on-one coaching for custody cases. I help people get ready for family court services. If you've got that in your community, I work with attorneys and clients to help them with managing and strategically setting them up to have more successful cases as well.
And how do they reach out? You want them to just go to the website or email or phone, or what's the best way for them to reach out, raise their hand and say, I need some help?
They can email me. My direct email is brooke@highconflict.net. That's BROOK at highconflict, HIGH, conflict.net.
Perfect. That's everything everybody would need to get some help, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brooke.